Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a fabulous Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me for Try It Out Tuesday. Well, today we're going to create a cute little mouse card using a stamp set from PhotoPlay. This is part of their Sit with Stamps collection, and I love these little mice. There's some funny, cute little punny, I should say, sentiments in here. And one of them says, I love you more than cheese. So we're going to grab the little mouse that's holding a heart. There's one that's holding a little block of cheese and then one that's holding some balloons. So it's great for lots of occasions. I'm going to stamp this little guy with Memento Tuxedo Black ink on some alcohol marker friendly cardstock. The paper pad that I'm using is actually meant for stamping. I've used it before and I'm really liking it. I like it in the paper pad because I can throw it on top of my desk and it's nice and tidy. I'll list it down below if you guys want to check it out. But there's my little mouse, and I just think that he or she is just adorable. We're going to zoom in, and then I'm going to color in this little guy with my Copic markers. As I color, before I do leave you guys, I did want to use a blend of 3 colors. I wanted to use my C1, which I'm using now, and then I wanted to use my C4 for my darkest and C3 for a little shading, but my C3 ran out of ink. So I'm just using basically two cool gray markers to color in this guy, and then a few extra colors for the heart and then rosying up the cheeks. But as I color, I will play a little music, and then when I'm done coloring, I will get you back. Okay, coloring is all done, and I got away with just using 2 Copic markers, my C4 and my C1, so it turned out pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and separate my dies. I do have the coordinating die set, and you know what, I don't even think I told you guys the name of this stamp set. It's called Mini Mice, and I'll link it down below because it is adorable. We're going to go ahead and tape down our die over our mouse and run this through my Platinum 6 and die cut out our little image here, and then we'll set him aside, and we're going to work on our background. For the background, I thought we would create a couple cheese slices. So I have 2 shades of yellow cardstock, a lighter and a darker, and I'm going to bring in some circle punches. These are from EK Success. Any kind of circle punches you have would work. Just start punching some holes in these cardstock in different sizes. I have a 1 inch, a 1/2 inch, and then I do end up bringing in a little slightly larger than a 1/2 inch circle punch to create some extra little holes in here to create some cheese slices. This is super fun to do, and I don't think I've did this before, but I love the outcome. I love the little cheese, and it goes perfect with this little stamp set. And the sentiments. There's a sentiment in here that says, hello friend. There's one that says, have a mice day. There's a couple that are cheesy. One says, age is not important unless you are cheese. I thought that's adorable. And then you also have one that says, I love you more than cheese. And that's the one we'll be using today. But there's my slices. I'm going to layer them together just using my tape runner. I'm actually going to bring in a panel that's slightly smaller than my card base. I just cut it out with my stitched rectangle dies. We're going to layer these 2 pieces together, and then I'm going to place them on my panel where I want them, and then we're going to go ahead and trim off the excess and then add some foam adhesive behind it so we can pop this up. Actually, we're going to add the foam adhesive first, stick it down, and then it'll be easier to cut because it's stationary. And I think if we put it at an angle and cut off a couple of those corners, it's going to look cute. Okay, this is going to go on our card base. I'm going to center it, and then instead of trimming it off the sides of my panel, I'm going to trim it off the sides of my card base. I just like the stitch detail behind there, and adds a little bit of extra texture. Now you can see here I did stamp my little mouse one more time and just colored in the heart and then the little guy's arm. I fussy cut that out because I want to add a little dimension. I did leave an extra piece extending the arm. We're going to add a foam square behind the heart. I slit a little line underneath the chin of my mouse so I could tuck this little piece underneath to give it dimension. So it looks like the hearts popped out. I love doing this, like kind of like a little decoupage. I love doing this. It just adds a lot of nice dimension. Now I thought my cheese was a little plain, so we're going to doctor that up a bit. I just removed it from my card base, and I'm going to bring in my craft mat and some white acrylic paint. I'm going to add a little water to my acrylic paint. Any kind of acrylic paint that you have would work great, but it does take a long time to dry, just a warning. But I just thinned it out, and we're going to do a little splattering over the cheese in the panel here, just to give it a little extra something. I think the cheese looks great on its own, but I wanted something more in the background. My only image is going to be that cute little mouse, and so I wanted some extra detail here. After my splattering is done, we're going to set that aside and let it dry, and in the meantime we'll stamp our sentiment. I'm going to stamp on some blue cardstock. I kind of coordinated it with the colors that I used for the heart. I used a B41 marker and a B45 marker, it always reminds me of blue jeans. So I've tried to find a piece of blue cardstock that was close in color. I stamped my sentiment, says I love you more than cheese, and I stamped it with Versamark ink. We're going to go ahead and add some white embossing powder over our sentiment, and I'll melt the embossing powder so it stands out against that blue cardstock, and then I do block it off just using my paper trimmer. Now for the most part this is pretty much dry. For the bigger dots on my cheesy background, I know that they're not quite dry all the way, but the smaller ones are dry enough to where I can continue. I went over it with my heat gun, not too much, I didn't want to warp my paper. But I'm going to re-add that to my A2 size card front, and then we're going to go ahead and add our little mouse. I do have foam adhesive behind my mouse and also behind my sentiment here. And we're going to add this to the right of our card, and then our little mouse is going to stand right on top of it, and then to make it, I think this is just adorable on its own, but I want to add a little snarkiness and a few little puffy white hearts. I have some of these heart little stickers. These are from, I think, like Sticko. I got them at Walmart a long time ago when they had that huge sticker section. I don't think they have it anymore, but I love the little size of these. Any kind of small white hearts you have would work. I added those to my cheese to add a little more love. And then we're going to bring in a black Jelly Roll marker. Now if you guys don't have one of these are pretty inexpensive, and they're great for dotting eyes because they're very fine pointed. So I'll list it down below as well. But I'm going to bring in my white gel pen also. We're going to highlight our blue heart here, just adding a couple little lines to it. And then last but not least, I have my Say It With Stamps Today die set. This has a coordinating stamp set. We're not going to use the stamp set, but I'm going to take the Today and die cut that out 3 times with black cardstock, and then the outline of this we're going to die cut out with white cardstock. I'm going to run these through my die cutting machine, and then I'm going to use my glue and layer all 3 of my black Todays together. And I'm using my little handy glue wand, and then my buddy has been on my desk all day. He is just the sweetest little kitty. I'm going to go ahead and layer these together, and we're going to adhere this to our outline. This is just going to give it a little dimension and a little added snarkiness to our sentiment. So my sentiment basically is going to read, I love you more than cheese today. Not every day, but just today. I think it's going to be so cute. Okay, once this is adhered, I'm just going to do a little adjusting, and then this bottom right corner is kind of open. That's where we're going to put it, right underneath our blue sentiment here. I am going to add a few foam squares and kind of tuck it underneath the first part of my sentiment. And once I'm happy, I'll just tack that down, and I just think they look so cute. But that is my project today, guys, for Try It Out Tuesday. I thank you so much for joining me. Everything's listed below, and if you want to see still shots, I encourage you to visit my blog. I take a few pictures over there. Hopefully they're clearer than the video, but have a fabulous day. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.